That is going to bring us to Crowdfunding Corner for the week of March. I think it will be the 7th when this goes live. There are 5 games this week that I wanted to tell you about, Devin, and just kind of chat about. These ones are on Kickstarter and Gamefound and their projects end in like the next week to 2 weeks-ish. First up is this game called Spokes. When I first saw this, I was like, oh man, is that some more AI art in a board game? And it's not. It's actually very pretty hand-drawn art. They have a great artist that does it. And so I almost skipped the whole project. I really like the art, to be honest, but when I think of AI art, that looks like something an AI could make.
I would agree. Yeah.
I don't know why. But this game's called Spokes. It plays 1 to 6 players in about 30 minutes. And it has a very unique board and kind of vibe. So you each have your own bicycle. And on your bicycle, you have 6 spokes, hence the name of the game. Let's see if I can find a good picture of the spokes. Here we go. And there'll be different colored pieces. And on your turn, you move your little cube 1 to 3 spots forward. And then the last spoke that you hopped over, you pick up and then put it on the board, replacing a different one, and take the one that you replaced and put it on your bike. So you're swapping your spokes out with the spokes on the board. The board, oh, it shows it here. The board makes up the racetrack, and I think it's the first player to do 3 laps wins. After you replace your spoke on the board, then you can move your bike, which is shown by this kind of cylinder piece. Unless you get the deluxe version, it does have a bike on top, as far along a single colored path as you want. So by you taking the spokes from your bike onto the board, you're trying to like make long pathways that you can move through, or maybe break up other ones that other people can't move through. If you land on an opponent, then you get to like slipstream them and take a wild card. And so it's kind of just like an abstract race game where you're trying to get around the board 3 times. Like I said, it plays pretty quick in about half an hour as a solo mode. Much different game than I thought it would be. When I saw the cover, I was like, I wonder if it's going to be kind of like Heat. This is very, very different, but I kind of like the colorful vibe on the board. Probably pretty inexpensive to make. That's why the pledge isn't very expensive. Cubes and some longer rectangles. What would you call that? A little road piece? I don't know. And plays 6 players. It's pretty cool. So that's Spokes. Again, there is a deluxe version where you can just get like a little wooden upgrade for the base version for $5. I think that one looks like it could be pretty fun time. So that's Spokes. First up this week. It's on Kickstarter for 12 more days until March 18th. Next one is a big one. Again, I'm not a huge fan of dungeon crawling games, but I really like Souls-like video games. And one of them that I haven't played more than a couple of hours, but I really want to get into, I think it's a little dark and violent. I generally like games like, Hollow Knight and Nine Souls were kind of like my vibe. But Blasphemous is a very well-known video game in that genre. There's actually a sequel, Blasphemous 2 now, and this is Blasphemous the board game. It says competitive, but it's kind of like semi-co-op, where you're all trying to like level up and defeat enemies, but then whoever completes the victory condition of the mission is the one who wins. So you're like semi-co-op, you're halfway working together, but you want to work together better than the other players. I'm not going to scroll too much through this page because much like the video game, again, very mature and dark. There's a bit of nudity on the miniatures, but let me see if I can... there was a section that showed like just how it plays. And you have a very cool player board. Let me see if I can just find that really quickly. Where is it? How to play. Maybe it was just game overview. So you're moving around exploring this same area from the game. I think it's called Custodia. And there's different regions, and then you'll be fighting lots of enemies. And eventually, as you like defeat enemies, you gain, it's not victory points. They call it like divinity, I think. And you have this cool board where you choose your character, and they're all a little bit different, and they slot inside this thing, and you get these cool cards on the side that also give you upgrades. I really like how the board looks, player board, because like everything's double layered, has like a spot for everything. And similar to only one other game I've ever seen, this game uses a ton of dice for your actions and combat and movement, and you can upgrade your dice. And the way that they handle it is similar to another game I have called Dice Forge, where you pop the sides off of the dice and can, by getting better cards and stuff, place new. Yeah, there you go. That's a good image.
Wow.
Pieces on the sides of the dice. I really think that's fun.
This game is definitely expensive.
Oh yeah. You can see the the all-in pledge is 300 euros, which would be like, I don't know, $340 or something. They do have a slightly less expensive version, but it's still like 180, I think. So it's expensive. Lots of miniatures.
Mm-hmm.
It's a dungeon crawl, big expensive pieces. Cool dice though. The gameplay system looks pretty cool, where you're like moving around. When you do get to the boss, let me see if I can go back up and show you the boss board. Oh yeah, there you go. You like slot the boss for this scenario onto this separate arena board, and you move onto that to fight them, and they have their own miniature and backdrop and their own deck of cards, and each of them fight a little bit differently. Some of the scenarios you don't win by completing or defeating the boss, you win by some other condition. So it seems like there's a lot going on in there. In like the two different rewards, you have like the $300 one that has 5 expansion stretch goal boxes, so there must be a lot of content in there as well. Or they have it's only 135 euros for the base one that has not the 5 expansions, but has the base game, the stretch goals, and I don't remember what that little box is, but probably like a little mini expansion. And then they're, getting a bunch of stretch goals with extra enemies and stuff. Very big game, like Gamefound does. But since Blasphemous is a video game IP that I think is cool, kind of care about, the gameplay system looks like it could be cool. I wanted to bring this one up again, even though dungeon crawler games are not really for me. I think I'd have fun playing this one though. I want one of my friends to buy it, and then I'll play their copy. That's Blasphemous, the board game. Cool kind of Castlevania vibe if you took it like, very gory direction. That one's on Gamefound until also the 18th of March. Okay, next up is one called Cities of Venus Survivors. This is a standalone, I don't know if expansion is the right word, but a standalone like sequel-ish to another game called Cities of Venus, different subtitle that I can't remember. It plays 1 to 6 players, and they say it's medium light in here, and you'll be rolling a lot of dice. You're like a crashed robot on a planet, and you're trying to save other survivors who like crashed down as well in their cryopods. So you're rolling all of these dice in order to move around and upgrade your like robot, I believe. And then let me see if I can show some better pictures here about the gameplay. Cool thing here is everyone takes their turns simultaneously, and then when you're done with your turn, you flip like your robot to the other side to show that you're done. I like games with simultaneous turns. We've been playing dice thrown missions, and it is nice to just be able to, do our own stuff at the same time. So you're not waiting for me, I'm not waiting for you. So cool thing there. Playing and manipulating tons of dice, trying to roll sets. Kind of has like a Yahtzee vibe that way, which I like the Yahtzee system. We've just talked about Dice Throne, one of my favorite games. That system just kind of works well for me. This one is, I think it looks pretty good. The thing that I'm most intrigued by is the win condition in the game. There aren't points. You're not like gathering points. By upgrading your robot, finding these survivors, getting resources, exploring the map and stuff, you're eventually gathering fuel. And fuel goes at the top of your board in this little section here. I'm not showing it very well. You probably can't even see my mouse. I don't think you might have my mouse recording on the screen. Let me see if I can. I just want to show a picture of the pledge tiers here. I can probably show the board in the pledge tiers. Yeah, at the top of the board here, there's a track with 5 slots. And you're gathering fuel by upgrading and moving around, getting resources, rolling good rolls with your dice. Eventually, someone will get 5 fuel. That will trigger the end of the game. Then, up to that point, everyone's been taking their turns simultaneously. Then for the last turn of the game, you no longer take them simultaneously. You take them one at a time. And you get dice equal to, I think, your starting 5 dice, plus 1 die for each other fuel that you have. So if you were able to be the person who got 5, you'll have, I think, 10 dice. And then whoever can get the single best roll on that last turn is the winner. So you're building up and building up and building up in order to have more dice to help you have better chances on the last turn. And then all of your special abilities, like on the left, will help you to change the die values on the last turn and whatever. So you're building up this engine and then trying to pump as much speed into it to get the fuel as possible, so that on that last turn you come away the best.
That is a cool ending because everyone gets to participate in the end game.
Yeah, and you do it. That's the only part of the game you do one at a time. I've never heard of a game doing that kind of swap of the ending. You play it very specifically one way until the last turn, and then you do it very differently. Kind of an interesting idea. There are some games that do things like that, Let's Go to Japan, where you have the turn at the end where then you show your plan that you've made, your travel plan, but kind of a cool idea. I need to read a little bit more about the gameplay and stuff, but it has pretty cool pieces, nice trays for all of the components that holds everything pretty nice. It's a little bit expensive of a game. I think the base version is about $80, but it does look pretty cool. They have a fancier version that has 6 players components in it instead of 4. So take a look at that one. Just based on that win condition, I think it's kind of a cool idea that I would like to try out. That one is Cities of Venus Survivors. That ends Wednesday, March 19th on Kickstarter. All right, do we have 2 more? I think we have 2 more.
Dos más.
Yeah. Next up is one called Champions of Wind and Fire, with the subtitle The Epic Dragon Building Game. In this game, you're trying to, like that says, kind of train a dragon and improve your dragon so that when you compete in these little mini tournaments, you win, and whoever gets the most trophies from those mini tournaments is the winner. There's a lot of components on the game. Each player has their own board with their dragon that I'll show you in a minute, and then this board with kind of this triangle of different runes, and you're trying to gather those in order to upgrade your dragon. And the way that it happens is someone will roll a bunch of dice, and then they'll be put in these different groupings, kind of like a Zool, where the pieces are put on different factory circles. And then you can take all of the dice from one of them. So dice drafting system I like. And then you get to activate kind of the top face of those dice that were rolled. You pick dice, then you build those patterns onto your triangular shaped board. Or you can collect bonuses like gold and stuff like that, and you use both of those to make your dragon better. You have your own dragon board. You can see it kind of small there. I think there is a bigger picture of it here. Nope, that's the main board. Here's some of the tiles that go on the dragon board. Here's the dragon board as well. I swear it's here bigger because they show the dragon upgrading. I think, yeah, here you go. As you upgrade your dragon from matching kind of these specific patterns on your board, then you get to upgrade your dragon. And I think there's 3 parts: the head, the wings, and the body of the dragon. It's kind of cool. Yeah, I like the idea there. Then, last up, eventually it'll be time for a tournament, and whoever has the most strength in kind of whichever dragon and type of, I don't think these are called relics or runes, but this element type, it looks like, will win the tournament and get some of these victory points as trophies. There is an advanced game mode as well. I think the pieces look really cool. The idea looks intriguing. I just want to like watch a playthrough of it because I don't know. It seems cool, but I wonder how much like gameplay depth there is there when like it's, okay, I take a few dice, I put some pieces on this kind of triangular element board, and use that to give my dragon a new head. Next time I play, am I doing the same thing? I don't know.
Yeah, it seems like you have like 2 options. You choose your emerald or you choose the gold. And everyone, to me, it seems like that would go the route of everyone ends up being similarly strong.
Right.
Unless the dice play a huge role.
Yeah, or if the advanced mode, I think it adds like some bidding. You can like bet on who's going to win the championships and stuff. And so that might be unique in that, like, okay, I know that I'm not doing very well, but Devin is. If I bet on him, am I going to be able to get a bunch more gold so that then I can upgrade my dragon? So maybe the advanced mode kind of adds some more to that too. I think the theme is cool, and I think the pieces and the production value are what are pulling a lot of people in. It has a pretty good smattering, is not the right word, pretty good amount of backers. Was it 2,000? Yeah, 2,200. Raised about $200,000 so far. So that's Champions of Wind and Fire, if you like dragons, until March 21st on Kickstarter. Then last up, again, not a huge fan of dungeon crawlers, but this series, Tiny Epic, is super, super famous, well known. They've had tons of them. One of their latest ones, I think, is this Dungeons mode. And this is a new expansion to that Dungeons mode. That, and man, it has a ton of backers, almost 11,000. The Dungeons mode prior to this expansion had 41,000 backers and raised $2.1 million. Oh, it's crazy. So this must be a very successful system for them. Like I mentioned, this is kind of an expansion that can be used together with that previous campaign. And there's quite a few different, like even add-ons or further expansions you can get here, but you move characters around this board fighting. I think this one is cooperative, if I'm remembering correctly. Let me go back up to the top and just make sure, but I think it's cooperative. Oh, come on, tell me. Campaign, dungeon. That's a good question. I cannot remember. I'm pretty sure that it is. I'm surprised it didn't say up there. Another one of their sticks here with Tiny Epic is they always fit them in like a very small box. So you'll notice most of the pieces here are like pretty small. This is like the map booklet, and it folds up really small. These are like some of the pieces. There are miniatures for each player, pretty small ones, but try to pack a big game in a small box is one of their hallmarks. I haven't played this one. It looks pretty cool. You have to have keys now, and bombs can like blow up walls in these new expansions. There's an adventure booklet. If you have to close your campaign earlier, they have these special envelopes you can like close pieces in to save your progress between runs. There's, like I mentioned, another expansion here, the Phantom Voyage on like a ghost pirate ship. So yeah, I think you probably know already if this is a game for you, but different heroes have different stats and abilities, and they've unlocked some, looks like 4 additional ones through stretch goals. And then there are, in the expansion to this expansion, even more heroes, I believe. Let me see, where was that? Yeah, here. What's in the expansion? 4 more heroes and their mats, and then 4 more have been unlocked through stretch goals. So lots of stuff in here. If this is your kind of game. So, anyways, that is Tiny Epic Dungeons Adventures, which is compatible with, I think, the Tiny Epic Dungeons system and everything that's been there. This one has 15 days left. Also ends on Friday, March 21st. Okay, Devin, that brings us to Pick of the Week for Crowdfunding Corner for the week of March 7th, 2025. Devin, what's going to be your Pick of the Week this week?
After 40-something episodes of Crowdfunding Corner, I would say this is the hardest week for me. I don't know. We've got a couple dungeon crawlers. The dragon one looked interesting, but I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Spokes, it looks interesting, but I don't know that I would have as much fun as I would playing a different game. I think I'm going to choose Blasphemous just because of the genre.
Yeah, you like that gothic vibe.
Yes, you throw gothic creatures and horror in any way. Mm-hmm. I just, like you said, you want someone to buy you this game. I want someone to learn this game for me so I don't have to read the rule book.
Yeah.
And simplify it so that I'm ready to play it.
Yeah, there's actually 2 rule books. I skimmed through them just to see. I had a question about like the victory conditions and stuff. And there's a main rule book that kind of breaks down like setup and how a turn flows and that kind of stuff. And then they have the second rule book that they call the where is it here? Oh, the rule book was in here. Where are you? Art, video, stretch pay. What? Oh, right here, rule book. The second one is called the Breviary, and it's a rules compendium of the game rules in alphabetical order. They're both about 35 pages each.
Oof.
So, there's a lot of pictures and to explain that way, but yeah, it's definitely not, this phase 10, this is not. So I get it. But yeah, the vibe is definitely a Devin vibe through and through. This is a tough week for me too. I think that I think I'm gonna go with Cities of Venus Survivors though. It almost went to Spokes. I think that one looks really cool and like minimalist and like a simple abstract racing game. But this one, I think just because I'm trying to picture like the feeling of that last round and how it would go. If you're playing with the right people, I think that could be like a very fun, dramatic like ending to a game, which sounds really cool. You might have some games where it's like a little bit of a dud, where you're like, well, he is so far ahead of us, the chances of any of us. But because there's a little bit of luck involved, I guess you still have a chance.
Even the person that played the best could still lose.
And maybe that's the dud. If you're the one that played way better than everybody else, and someone else has
you're like, I don't like this game
a better
anymore.
roll than you on that last roll, then maybe that's a little disappointing. But hey, props to them for going with such like a bold like victory condition, because it's very different than just I got points for everything I did and I beat you by 3 points.
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to be my pick of the week for uniqueness, I think. Cities of Venus Survivors. And that is going to do it for Crowdfunding Corner for the week of March 7th, 2025. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next week for episode number 50 of Crowdfunding Corner. Thank you so much for watching this video. As most of you know, gaming top-down is an independent endeavor. I don't accept money from publishers for previews or opinion-related content. But there are a few ways that you can support the channel and help me keep the lights on. Liking this video and subscribing to the channel helps me to grow. If you're thinking of getting a game that I covered in this video, please click the affiliate link in the description of this video. It helps to support me and doesn't add any cost to your purchase. I also do a weekly gaming podcast where I talk about the board games that I'm playing along with my brother. You can check that out on Apple's podcasts and on Spotify. And you can also get that podcast 3 days early over on our Patreon. You can follow the Patreon at patreon.com/supergamebrothers completely for free. But if you do support us over there, you get some extra perks like being able to write into the show, getting early access to the show, voting on the games that I'm going to cover and review, and lots of other fun stuff. Thanks so much for your support, for liking and commenting on my videos. You really are what helped keep the lights on for me. Thank you.